What's up, Agents? Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 build video. In today's video, I'm going to showcase my best solo PVE build for TU16.1. Now, TU16.1 has just become live. It's mainly bug fixes, but a few changes here and there. I will leave a link in the description for the patch notes. Go and check them out. The Picara's holster has now been changed, so we are going to make use of it in, I'm going to say this right now, arguably the best solo Division 2 build we've ever had since the game released. Now that the Picara's holster is even stronger, this build is going to be absolutely amazing and benefit so much from it. I'm sure you guys will enjoy this video. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let's try get to that 500 like goal. So let's take a look at the build. I will give you guys a quick summarization of the setup. Then you can watch some gameplay on Legendary. Then we'll come back and we'll go through the build in full detail. As soon as I put this build on, without any memento stacks, I could feel the absolute power of this setup. And it's quite amazing what we have on this build. So, straight off the bat, we have got the new Picara's holster. Let's take a look at the changes. So now we have got 15% weapon damage on the holster, which comes with every one. Then a random attribute that you can roll, and then you can change the core attribute to a yellow or a red or a blue. So this is good. This is great news. Baseline weapon damage is incredibly strong, especially with the Brazos set. This brand set gives us skill haste and skill tier. Perfect for a hybrid build where you don't want to spec into yellows, but spec into blues and reds, but have the benefit of yellows, if you know what I mean. So this is going to be perfect for us. So the two-piece is going to be a must with this setup. What we want to do is get as much weapon damage as we can. The previous version I made was more spec'd into skills and skill damage. This revolves more around our weapon and getting more weapon damage. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is one of my new favorite builds to use right now. One of the strongest builds, top 3 strongest builds in the game right now for solo play. I can show you a variation if you wanted to turn this into a team-based build, and we'll do that when we come back for the full description. So as you can see, I've already started optimizing this build. I've optimized the holster, maxed out, and the mask, I'm almost there. With the armor rolls, the crit damage rolls, I got to get started on that. But let's take a look at how this build works as a whole. So the memento backpack, we need to stack that up. So whenever you use the memento, you should know we get a yellow, a blue, and a red. So yellow, blue, and red, plus technician specialization, that's another yellow, that's 2 yellows. Then 3 yellows from the Brazos brand set. So we have 3 skill tiers when we have 1, 2, 3 blues and 1, 2, 3, 4 reds. And here's the interesting part. We have more than 4 reds. We've got about 5.5 because the capacitor scales off of yellow. So for each skill tier, gain 7.5 weapon damage. So 2 equals 1 red roll, which is 15%. So we get an additional, because we've got 3, 1.5. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 5.5 reds, which is insane. We have so much going on with this setup. Our crit damage is really high. So we take a look at our crit damage, 172% crit damage, 59.8% crit chance. Now, all of these stats are amplified when we actually get memento stacks. Our regen goes just under 40,000, which is crazy. Our baseline damage of the capacitor goes way higher than this. It's amazing how much damage and survivability we have with this setup. So now you guys know that we're stacking blues, yellows, and reds. The perfect thing about all of these ways we can get extra skill tiers without speccing into skill tiers is that we can be tanky, have blues, and have reds so we can hit as hard as we can with our gun. So 1.3 million armor is the reason why I've gone for 1.3. It is because simply of the memento, we get armor regeneration from this bag. So that's how I'm able to make use of having a bit of armor. And we need to be a little bit tanky. You'll get beamed out too fast if you go less than 1.1 million. I wouldn't recommend it. So we benefit from the bonus armor and the actual regeneration. So the skill efficiency side of this, as you guys can see, we've got Fenris, crit chance, and Grupo, which is great. The Cheska and Grupo gives us crit chance, crit damage, and the Fenris is baseline weapon damage. Then the memento gives us a further 30% weapon damage, and we get a further 1.5 red cores from the capacitor and a lot of crit damage from this. So you can see the main core of the build is going to be weapon damage. But the great thing about this is The 2-piece Brazos gives us an extra skill tier. So we're not speccing it to repair skills or skill damage. We have just got 3 skill tiers. So we are able to get overcharged with this build. So not only can we have all these reds, all these blues, not even spec 1 skill tier, and we have got the ability to go overcharge if we use the scalpel or we use any gun with the future perfection, which is crazy. I find that to be incredible. Now, after my testing, I did find that it's more beneficial for damage to just use the capacitor. The capacitor also does hit more than the perfectly in sync assault rifle. It just gives us more damage. Yes, you have to stack it, but this gun has very nice critical hit damage modifications, and because of that extra weapon damage increase and the fact that we're increasing the damage in our turret and our drone, works incredibly well. Now, I do switch between drones. The assault drone is very, very nice. As you guys can see, I change between the fixer and the assault. You can use a healing hive, the striker drone. So the striker drone is quite powerful. It goes around like a little mosquito, damaging the NPCs. It distracts them. It gets behind cover. It chases them down. But I think the fixer drone is just really nice to keep our healing up. Like I said, when you have got memento stacks, you have over 35,000 regen, just below 40,000. And we also have the healing. So you'll see your armor go up significantly. So this does increase survivability. But the great thing about it is that because we're not just using the capacitor because of the skill damage, weapon damage, and the crit damage, we can use any skill we want and have 3 skill tiers, potentially up to overcharge, or 6 skill tiers most of the time. So you can delve into whatever skill you want, which I think makes this build so good. And the great thing about it as well is Memento gives us 30% skill efficiency, which is everything: repair skills, status effects. So you will still benefit from using even a sticky bomb, a fire sticky bomb. You can delve into any skill you want, and I think that's really nice. Even the decoy, you get skill duration and health. So it's really nice, and we're not focusing solely on the skills, but they support you so much. My turret takes away aggro from grenadiers. We can actually do damage with the turret because we're getting another 60%. So it's 30% skill damage plus health, duration, all the things that come with efficiency. It's going to be 30% plus 60 from the capacitor plus the extra skill tier from, well, increasing the skill tier from the 2-piece. So if you have a look, you might argue to yourself, well, sometimes it might not be worth using the 2 Brazos, because if we have a look and see what actually does the extra skill tier do. So we get 20% damage. So that's equivalent to like running a Wyvern, and there's no other 1-piece that really gives us an extra skill damage besides the exotic holster, which alternates damage. That's only like 15 aside, then it goes to 30%. So I think this is really powerful. And it's not just that. Health is a really big deal. From 140% health to 210, that allows our turret to survive, because it will go down really fast, especially when you're fighting those chungers. So I think the extra skill tier is huge. And the fact is, we can roll crit damage and crit chance on these pieces as well. So it's really nice. And the skill haste isn't perfect for this setup, but I guess it depends on what kind of skills you're going to be using. So crit damage and crit chance on everything. Hopefully you understand where my synergy is coming from and how powerful this build is. I'm sure you guys will see in the gameplay. Nice thing about it as well, we can get skill tier 4 immediately by just swapping to our pistol, so we can heal a bit more, or let our turret do some work within sync as well if we need it. So I've tested a couple of other weapons, but I feel like the setup is perfect. The scalpel, I don't want to just focus on getting skill tiers because I want to showcase the build how it works, but you can see where I'm coming from. So I tested quite a few different chest piece talents, and I feel like Obliterate is going to be the best. We're going to be shooting a lot. We can keep the stacks up most of the time. This build is designed for legendary. In heroic or challenging, you will have this up all the time. You might not have it all the time in legendary, but the thing is, there are not that many talents that we can actually utilize. Glass cannon doesn't really make sense when we're speccing into blues. The spotter isn't great because we can't really pulse a lot unless you use a pulse, which you could do. That could benefit you as well for your skills and your weapon. So there are many different ways you can do it. I've gone for more of a 25% weapon damage, which is great because we are critting a lot and we have high RPM with the weapon. But you can use spotter and then use a pulse. Do you guys see what I'm saying? But I wanted to have that skill slot to make use of, because the pulse is not going to be that beneficial to me as a skill. It's just going to give me more damage and maybe with my weapon and my skill, but it's not going to give me utility like healing myself or having another skill taking aggro or also dishing out separate damage. So it's up to you how you want to do it and how you test it. There's also one where you can go out of cover, or you sit in cover and increases your weapon damage and skill damage. It's not that much, so I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not in cover most of the time. Also, Unbreakable could work. I did try Kinetic Momentum, which is definitely a possibility. You can jump in, use Kinetic Momentum, you get skill damage, and you also get skill repairs, which means our drone will be healing well and our turret will be doing damage. So this is probably arguably the best if you wanted to use a healing skill and a damage skill. This would be perfect. As long as they're both staying out and you're not using consumable skills, you will get huge amounts, 60% repair skills and 30% skill damage. I did use this in my previous build, so it's up to you guys. You decide, but Obliterate works nice because we can melt the NPCs, because remember, we don't have a 6 skill tier. So these skills that we have on us are more or less support skills. They're not going to be doing as much as you think with regards to damage. So our weapon will still be the best way to beam out NPCs. This is more of a playstyle of shooting your gun. So this is up to you. You can decide on the chest piece talent, go crazy. I want to showcase the setup because I love it. And we haven't gone for multiplicative gloves or knee pads. There's a reason for that. If you guys did not know, if an NPC is behind cover, you don't get the Fox's Prayer knee pad. You don't get the damage to targets out of cover at all. And the funny thing is, when an NPC stands next to cover, they still count as being in cover. So a lot of the time you don't get the damage. Also, a lot of damage to enemies is health damage. It's not armor damage for Contractor's Gloves. So I didn't want to make the situational Contractor's Fox's Prayer setup, even though you can do that. That's perfectly fine. Go for the multiplicative pieces. This is more spec towards damaging everything with just pure crit damage. So but just remember, non-crits and crits are a different story. You know, Fox's Prayer, Contractors, if you are going to be shooting a target out of cover that has got armor, yes, overall, your majority of it, you will do more damage because it's your non-crits that are increasing damage, but it also depends what chest piece talent you use on which that's going to be multiplying off of. So the multiplicative damage may scale differently depending on your setup and what talents you use. So you need to test for yourself, give it a try, adapt the build to suit your own playstyle. I know I'm talking about this a lot, but I have to bring this all up so to try and mitigate the questions I can't answer. Also, just to mention something to you guys, there's currently a bug with the Picara's holster. I'm trying to communicate with a dev. When I was trying to re-roll one of my holsters, because I've got quite a few, it wouldn't allow me to change the core attribute to a red. So just keep that in mind. Don't re-roll your ones. Try farm a couple of them. Don't ruin it, because they should be fixing it very soon, or we can hope. I just had a blue and I re-rolled mine to crit chance, which for some of you might be a mistake if you see that you wanted a red, but you're like, well, I can't do it, so I might as well just roll the attribute. Then maybe later on when it's fixed, you're like, oh, I wish I could re-roll it to a red now. So keep a couple of them. If not, just keep that in mind. As you can see, I've got a red here, and when I try to roll it into, well, I've got a Picara's and it's blue. I'm trying to re-roll it to a red, and I don't have the option. That's currently a bug, so that should be fixed very soon, hopefully. So enjoy the gameplay, guys, and we'll see you very soon to go through the build in a bit more detail.
Spotted! Right there! Target's back on their feet! Target's not dead! Enemy fire!
Serious trauma detected.
Need a new mag! Friendly hit! Right here!
Grenade launched!
Target ain't dead yet! I'm pinned down!
I can do this all day.
Hey, I'm killing one of them!
Immediate medical assistance needed. Vital signs critical. Accessing server. Field terminals detected nearby.
UAV is up.
Move it in.
Coming up on the flank. Ready here.
Terminal controlled. Immediate medical assistance needed. Vital signs critical.
Copy. I've got your 6.
Hopefully you guys did enjoy the gameplay. So the specialization, I do really recommend this time you use Technician to get that extra skill tier, because that's the whole point of a setup like this. Make sure you guys have everything else activated. Assault rifle damage on. Also, just keep in mind a Faraday field, guys. Faraday field is very strong. So you yourself included and party members within 5 meters of your deployed and undisrupted skills are immune to shock and disruption. This could be really good for countdown or if you're playing solo, which this build's primarily focused around doing, it's going to be really good against the shotgunners that rush you and try to throw the shock grenades. So keep that in mind. It's very nice. Also, this dismantling is very good. We need that damage to drone, skill, proxy, and robotics. You could see how much damage we were doing because a lot of it is health and armor. It's not just armor. So it makes sense to have also baseline crit in the build itself, like I was mentioning earlier about the whole multiplicative damage and situational damage elements of this game. So let's take a look at the build in a little bit more detail. I know we spoke about the majority of it already before the gameplay, but let's take a look at each piece now and just talk about what's going on here. So 1.3 million armor. As I mentioned, we need that regeneration. I think that's why I've gone for 1.3. It is really up to you because Memento is still one of the best pieces in the game. For playing solo, it is really a must. You don't have to get stacks with the setup as well, which is really nice. So the capacitor is very good. Now I did compare this to the other weapons. I'm not sure I've got it on me here, but InSync is really nice. There are quite a few other weapons you can be using. Some to buff your healing, more skill damage. Well, not more skill damage. I think the capacitor is probably the best. More skill tiers. Mechanical animal could be really good, just like the scalpel. But I feel like the capacitor is just too good. The main reason being, like I mentioned earlier, extra skill damage, very nice modifications. I mean, 30% crit damage and 10% crit chance. It's actually unheard of, this mod. It's crazy. 30% crit damage on the muzzle. Then weapon handling is also nice. And plus 11 rounds. High RPM, really good damage. And this is just amazing. I really do enjoy this gun. It works perfectly with this build. We're getting lots of crit, lots of weapon damage, and lots of extra skill damage for our turret. It depends what 2 skills you use as well. So it's really good for 2 assaults if you don't need the healing, which is what we need, what we want. So with the scalpel, like I mentioned, you get up to overcharge with this. It's really, really strong. With this build, actually, the capacitor can hit over 550,000 damage to the body on a crit, which is ridiculous. The scalpel can maybe 3 to 4 shot. It's not really meant for dishing out high, huge damage. It's more just finishing the NPCs off to get the extra overcharge, which is crazy. And the fact that we can get overcharge, or extra skill tier, sorry. The fact that we can get overcharge is insane. Oh, we can get 6 skill tiers plus 1 with this. It's crazy. Then card custom. Why? Extra skill tier to go 4 if we need it to heal or do more skill damage. Then InSync, which is good. It's 30% weapon damage and skill damage more importantly, so you can pop out, shoot if you're really struggling to stay out of cover. So with this build, like I said before, you guys need to farm the Picara's holster, which is a Brazos named holster. We have got 15% weapon damage, which is ridiculous. That is one of the best pieces in the game right now. Nice thing is we can reroll the core attribute and the random attribute, which is nice. So get farming, guys. I've got quite a few, so hopefully you've got. So the 2-piece is going to give us skill haste and skill tier. Very nice. That's how we have 3 skill tiers plus technician and the memento. The 2 pieces, we're going to have crit damage, crit chance with a crit damage modification, armor on the mask. Same as the holster. I've gone for crit chance. You can go for crit damage. It's really up to you as long as you go for crit chance or crit damage. So that's the 2-piece there. The Fenris chest, we've got crit damage, crit chance. With a crit damage modification, just make sure your crit chance, if you're using obliterate, is no less than 56, 57, because we need to crit to be able to actually get that increase in damage. It's up to you. Kinetic momentum is really good, but if you're going to be using 2 skills that, you know, are assault or do damage, I'd recommend using obliterate if you want to be shooting your gun more. But if you want to go more of a skill variation, you can go for more yellows, and then you can maybe go for kinetic momentum. That'd be really nice. So it's up to you guys how you want to do it. So this is the 10% assault rifle damage. Very good. It's non-situational damage as well, so it's a must-have, I think. Then if you want to go for multiplicative pieces, contractors, foxes, go for it. But I think this is overall better if you can be playing in any kind of mission. We've got crit chance. We need to get our crit chance up, and we've got crit damage, crit chance on the Cheska gloves. Then Grupo knee pads, crit chance, and crit damage. With the crit chance, well, I think the amount of crit damage on this build is really good. It speaks for itself, over 170%, which is crazy. Then memento. Once we get this stacked up, like I said before, 37,000 regen. We have 30% more weapon damage and skill efficiency. We're going to be melting and surviving. It's crazy. Bonus armor is insane. It's the best, one of the best pieces in the game. Perfect for solo play. Make sure you give this a try. If you wanted to use this build in a team, I would definitely recommend taking this away. What could you use? I think what I would do is I would use a Cheska bag with tech support or vigilance, and then maybe go for contractor's gloves or either or, maybe fox's prayer knee pads, one or the other. It's really dependent on you. If you wanted to keep it the same of what I'm running, what you could do, or you wanted to keep it non-situational damage, you could go Cheska bag with visions or tech support, or combined arms, and then maybe a wyvern, and you could go for a Gruppo. It's up to you. You can go Cheska, wyvern, Gruppo. Or what you could do is Cheska, Gruppo gloves, or Cheska bag, Gruppo gloves, and then an improvised knee pads, which is good because then you can put a modification for your crit damage. So there's a few ways you can do it. You guys decide. Leave a comment down below how you're going to run this setup. But I think you need to make sure you always keep in your head, how do I play? How am I going to play? What mission am I going to play? Then you can make the right decision on how to set up your build. With the skills, this is completely up to you. I think damage, health, duration for the turret and for the drone, same thing. The healing drone, just make sure you put healing for the drone, health, duration, things like that. Just make sure you spec the right thing. Like, for example, if you're using a stinger hive, make sure you put stinger charges. If you're using a repair hive, make sure you put repair charges. I'm bad with that. I forget. Also, technician, make sure you got skill damage or skill healing on. Depending on which one you want to activate, it's up to you. It doesn't really matter. Just whatever skills you're going to be using, just keep that in mind as well. Then the stats, you guys can pause the video and have a look. 59.8, 172 crit damage, huge regen, crazy healing, and skill damage. This build is, I would say, probably the strongest thing around right now for solo play in this game, especially with the Picaro holster. I enjoy it. I love it. It's going to be on my new solo setup. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.